Thank you so much. My name is Brian Otwal from NTV Kenya. Just a brief on what do you make of the current situation and how the status it is so far in day 2 of the tournament going on.
Well, let me first of all say on behalf of the Nigerian Hockey Federation and family worldwide, welcome sister African countries to Abuja, the federal capital of this country. I think so far so well. First of all, I would like to put you on record that we had wanted to hold this tournament about a year or two, but there was some apprehension by some sister African countries, particularly South African countries, as to whether or not Nigeria is peaceful enough to hold this country, to host this kind of tournament. I think by hosting this tournament so far, we have debunked any insinuation that this country is not peaceful for us to be able to host a tournament of this nature. More so, other organizations, football, volleyball, basketball, swimming, have hosted tournaments of this nature in Abuja and in Lagos. This is to make sure that there's nothing like anything threatening the peace in this country. Thirdly, to also underscore the importance of hockey in Africa and in Nigeria as a whole. We had been left behind quite a number of years. We've been trying to make sure that the game is fully resuscitated, and that when you guys came, you met National Sport Festival taking place. Some of you had the privilege of seeing teams coming from various states of the Federation. So this is a testimony to the fact that we are trying to revive this game, and as it is now, it is an opportunity to also showcase to the youngsters sister countries from Africa. By doing that, we'll be able to make some comparative analysis as where we are and where we are going in the future. The organization, as far as I'm concerned, is superb. The cooperation with the technical official is very good. All the teams that are registered to participate are here in Abuja. This is about the second day. This is my first day here. I am happy with what I have seen. I'm happy with the pitch condition. The edifice is like one of the very best you can find in African continent, and it has been underutilized. But for now, I'm happy that the ministerial officials have also keyed into this particular program, and that we have started. We welcome Africa, and we're saying our desire, our ambition is to see that this game is taken out of the shores of Africa. It for us, it is not always a beauty to see Africa be represented only all the time by South Africa. There has to be a breakthrough, and this is the intention, making sure that teams from Africa, south of the Sahara, Ghana, Kenya, should be able to be representing Africa in events in the world.
All right. What is your take on South Africa, being that they say that this tournament is not at their level, that is why they never come to take part in?
I've always informed an African official who is a representative from Nigeria to keep on drumming into the ears of African Hockey Federation. If South Africa continue to show some spiritual attitude towards other African countries, we will stop attending the competition hosted by them. As simple as that. In terms of spirituality, how? When you have a football, a World Cup competition, as it took place just 2 days ago in India, they were beaten. That does not mean they will not be in the next World Cup if they qualify. So the African hockey must find a way of making sure any association that affiliates with it must attend competitions. There's no gone are the days of saying we are superior, we are inferior. Come and show your superiority on the pitch. I feel that attitude of South Africa, they must be called to order, and it is only our representatives from Egypt, Kenya, Ghana, and Nigeria, Zimbabwe, that should be able to drum support. If South Africa refuses to partake in a competition of this nature, then other African countries should not also go to South Africa to participate in any tournament hosted by South Africa. That's my take.
All right. 4 more questions for him. One from the iSport. Let's get from the iSport from Ghana. Then we get 2 from Nigeria, and then we get from our colleague from Ghana. So let's quickly do that. So that
my name is Dennis Sisido from iSports 360 Ghana, and it's a follow-up question to what Brian asked. It's about the number of teams participating. With a brief research, we realized that when ACCC is hosted in East Africa, there are lots of teams like that of Kenya. We had about 19 teams back in 2016. But in Ghana last year, we had about 12 teams, and then this year we're having about 12 teams too. And feedback we're having is that Eastern African teams as a whole find it very difficult to come to West Africa for competitions like this. Your take?
I think my attitude to that question is that it is because over the years, when teams don't participate, there's no penalty. And since South Africa are the ones who are leading the vanguard, it becomes a norm that we don't care. Once there is a competition, teams should be able to prepare. And the African hockey must be able to tell them, if you don't, you are champions, there must be sanction. When there is no sanction, people people are just following the South African attitude. It doesn't matter. It matters because if it is soccer body, they will sanction teams. They will stop them from playing. And unless you develop that attitude, like you rightly said, I was in Ghana last year, we had 12 teams, now we had 8. That is because the South African teams have shown a way, kind of disdain to other teams, and therefore people feel that it doesn't matter if they don't come. And I'm sure sanction will be able to bring back teams into this competition.
Yeah, let's get from the colleague from Ghana.
My name is George Kasari.
Yeah.
I'm from Daily Graphic. It seems hockey in Africa is not up to the level of football because if you look at football, almost all the English and French-speaking countries participate. But in hockey, it is only almost always in the English-speaking countries and sometimes the Arabs. How do we bring the Francophone countries into the fold so that we grow hockey in Africa?
I think you don't compare football with any sports when it comes to Africa. But the question is, what do we do to make sure that the game is developed to a level that will attract sponsorship? You don't attract sponsorship into a sport if the populace doesn't watch it. What do you need to do? Making sure that the government levies international organizations that operate in its country. Like when you have international businesses that operate in Nigeria, the government should be able to develop some levies which will force companies to actually participate in the sponsorship. Here we are hosting this tournament. There is no one single company that's put one dime into this tournament. That is because, one, the game is not popular as it was before. Secondly, when a company puts in money, there has to be a return. That is feedback. People now will use the process of the company to attract more customers into the company. That will galvanize people into putting their money into a sponsorship like hockey. Gradually, in Africa, football was taking everything. But you could see now there is a serious incursion by basketball. They are getting sponsors, and even in hockey, you see sponsors from Ghana, from Egypt, from Kenya, where companies are putting in money. Basically, what is happening in Nigeria is personality-based sponsorship and government, and there has to be a serious intentional intervention by government to making sure that companies come in and then sponsor some of these tournaments by law.
Sir, the distinguished senator, your position, how are you using it to get corporate sponsor? Like every sport in Nigeria are dying because companies don't put money. Now you are facing it as a senator. How are you using your position as a distinguished senator of
the same as I told you, government has to intervene by way of legislation. If it is their own wish to be able to come and partner, because they know once they put in money in hockey, there won't be the attraction that will attract people to come and watch. Therefore, when a company puts in money as a business concern, it expects something in return. People patronizing them. But when there is a clear-cut legislation that forces some kind of percentage from companies' dividends, from companies' profit. We tried in 2005, 2006, making sure that we pass that kind of dividend. But because of the power of the international business concern in Nigeria, they stipulate the law is still trying to be germinated again, so that at least the National Assembly should look at it. Otherwise, everybody will move to football. Two things. While there are sponsors in football all the time, government is also putting all its money into football. That is a tragedy. If the government will hands off sponsorship of football, like in Nigeria, and allow the private sector to drive in football, then the government can now flow in whatever it has in other sports, and you see a lot of change.
Thank you. Last question from.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
My name is Sean
Sean.
from We Are College TV. Nigeria, talk about hockey. It's not the first sport in Nigeria, but looking at the performances of the boys and the girls so far in this competition, we are saying that there's a lot of future ahead of us. What does this mean to the economy of the country that's just resurrecting from recession?
I think it means a lot. It means a number of two things. First, it means taking off these youngsters out of the street and bringing them to develop themselves as citizens without reverting to crime to make ends meet. That is very fundamental. And that is one aspect quite a number of governors or governments are not considering. When you introduce a youth into sports, you are moving from criminality, first and foremost. And then secondly, you're also creating a viable avenue for him to make a living in the sports or even outside the sports. I think by and large there is no proper dissemination of information as to what sports can do to a youngster once he's properly introduced. Records have shown very many youth that are introduced into sports from secondary school have remained out of crime for the rest of their lives. If you look at a census or statistics of those criminals that are bound anywhere in the street, it is because of that lack of opportunity into playing football, in basketball, because they are not nurtured. Once you nurtured a youth to play football or hockey or any others, then you remove him from the possibility of being a criminal. And the government, as a matter of importance, must see that as its cardinal objective to make sure that the youth are taken off the street.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much. It's a pleasure.
I will meet you on Tuesday. Yeah, I'll meet you on Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
I'll meet the whole lot of you because we are going to have